Every parliament inherits more than a chamber, a set of rules, and a legislative calendar. It inherits the hopes of millions of citizens, the unfinished work of those who came before it, and the constitutional duty to leave the institution stronger than it found it. That responsibility now rests with each one of us, honorable members. Permit me, therefore, to congratulate you upon your election to the 12th Parliament of the Republic of Uganda. Today, we meet not as competitors on the campaign trail, but as custodians of one institution upon which the health of our democracy largely depends. Our political persuasions may differ, but our constitutional obligation is shared to represent our people faithfully, legislate wisely, safeguard public resources, and ensure that those who exercise public authority are accountable to the citizens from whom that authority is derived. It is in that spirit that I address us today. The office of the Leader of the Opposition draws its authority and mandate from Article 82A of the Constitution, reinforced by the Administration of Parliament Act and given practical effect through our rules of procedure. It sits within the constitutional architecture through which Parliament holds the executive to account, a function that is not just ceremonial. Parliament was never designed as a passage point for government proposals. It exists to interrogate policy before it becomes law, to scrutinize proposals. It exists to ensure that expenditure is scrutinized before it is authorized, and to demand accountability after public resources have been spent. Where scrutiny is treated as obstruction, where disagreement is read as disloyalty, and where alternative ideas are dismissed as inconveniences, Parliament cannot discharge that function. Every mature democracy recognizes the opposition for precisely this reason. A strong opposition is one of the principal safeguards against the abuse of public power. Accountability is an act of fidelity to the people who elected all of us. And history will judge whether we proved worthy of that trust. The office of the Leader of the Opposition gives practical expression to these principles. It coordinates the work of the shadow cabinet, supports members through research and policy analysis, scrutinizes legislation and public expenditure, contributes to parliamentary business, and presents alternative policy proposals for consideration by the House. Equally important, the opposition chairs Parliament's accountability committees because oversight is strongest when exercised independently of those responsible for implementing government programs. That arrangement reflects a constitutional understanding that public accountability is strengthened when scrutiny is credible, objective, and fearless. Honorable members, throughout the 11th Parliament, the Office of the Leader of the Opposition advanced parliamentary accountability through alternative policy statements, alternative budget priorities, minority reports, petitions, motions, matters of national importance, and oversight visits to public institutions and government projects, all aimed at ensuring that decisions of this, our august House, were informed by evidence, alternative perspectives, and the realities on ground, rather than by the government's account alone. Honorable colleagues, as we begin the work of the 12th Parliament, we should remain guided by a simple but profound truth. The confidence of the people in this institution will depend less on what we say or what we do. The confidence of the people in this institution will depend less on what we say than on what we do. Every law we pass, every budget we approve, and every oversight report we adopt must answer one fundamental question. Will this improve the lives of the people who entrusted us with their vote? The Constitution has entrusted Parliament with 4 cardinal responsibilities: to legislate, to represent our constituents, to appropriate public resources, and to hold the executive accountable. None of these functions is superior to the other, and none should be exercised casually. Laws shape the character of our nation. Budgets reveal our priorities. Oversight determines whether public promises become public services. When any of these responsibilities is weakened, Parliament itself is diminished. Permit me, therefore, to offer 3 reflections that I hope will guide our work during this Parliament. First, let us safeguard the independence of Parliament. The authority of this institution does not rest in its buildings, its procedures, or even its traditions. It rests in the confidence that Ugandans have that their representatives can deliberate and decide freely, guided only by the Constitution, the law, and their conscience. Secondly, colleagues, let us protect the culture of meaningful debate. We shall not always agree, nor should we. Democracy was never designed to eliminate disagreement. It was designed to ensure that disagreement is resolved through reason rather than through intimidation, through persuasion rather than coercion, and through constitutional processes rather than arbitrary power. A parliament that welcomes diverse opinions almost always produces stronger decisions than one in which only one voice is heard. So, even though we sit on different sides of the House, we are not enemies, colleagues. And we should always be open to criticism and divergent views. Thirdly, let us defend the principle of accountability with equal determination, irrespective of who occupies public office. Public resources belong neither to government nor to Parliament. They belong to the people of Uganda. Every shilling appropriated by this House carries with it a solemn obligation to account for how it is spent. That obligation does not change with political seasons because accountability is the currency through which citizens place their trust in public institutions. Holding government accountable, colleagues, is not just to do with how money is used, but also how power and authority is used, and how the laws that we pass as Parliament are adhered to. Colleagues, it should bother us, all of us,